Hi, in this video we're going to cover strings again, and this was going to be validating the characters in a password. So at the university, passwords for the campus computer system must meet the following requirements. The password must be at least 7 characters long. It must contain at least one uppercase letter. It must contain at least one lowercase letter, and it must contain at least one numeric digit. When a student sets up their password, the password must be validated to ensure it meets these requirements. You have been asked to write the code that performs the validation. You decide to write a function named valid password that accepts the password as an argument and returns either true or false to indicate whether it is valid. Here's the algorithm for this function. I'm going to set the correct length variable to false, has upper to false, has lowercase to false, has digit to false, and that the password's length is 7 characters or greater, set the correct length variable to true. For each character in the password, if the character is an uppercase letter, set the has uppercase variable to true. If the character is lowercase, set the has lowercase variable to true. If the character is a digit, set the has digit variable to true. If correct length and has uppercase and has lowercase and has digit, set the is valid variable to true, else set the is valid variable to false, and then return the is valid variable. Now, one of the things I tell my students when I'm teaching classes is to always be thinking about things that you can do to change the program to make it better. So one thing on here would be to be able to display a message stating why the password is not valid. Instead of just saying it's not valid, to be able to let them know it's not valid because didn't have the correct length or because it didn't have a lowercase character in it. Because that's really frustrating when you're putting in your password and you think I got all this stuff in there, and then because you don't realize that there's something off on it. So okay, so in the previous one, we created the get login name and stored that into a function in the login module. The valid password function is a purpose related to this task, so we're going to put this into the same program or same file as the other one. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, move this out of my way here, and then I'm going to go into my folder here for chapter 8 and go into my extracting characters and get my login, and then go back in here and paste it into my validating password. Okay, that way I have it in here. I keep these all separated out so now I have this in here, so when I do the other one on here, this is the one I'm going to adjust to put this in. So I'm going to go into here. I'll get rid of these other ones here in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and do a new file. Oh, wait a minute, wrong thing. Sorry. I'm going to do a file open. Well, there's my login right there, but that's in the wrong location. And I know I'm kind of babbling here a little bit, but I think that one was the good one, and this one's in the wrong location. So I want to go in chapter 8, validating password and login. And then I'm going to go over here and close this one off. So I only have the one open now. Okay, so we're going to be in the login file, and we're going to add a function well, we already have the get the login name on here, so we don't need to add that again. We want to do the valid password one. And we need to pass in the password on that. Okay. So correct length is going to be equal to false. And if you haven't noticed from some of my previous videos, I don't like using the underline when I do variable names or function names. So I take that out, and this is called camel case, where the first word is lowercase, and then each word after that has the capital first letter on it. So correct is lowercase, and then length has the capital L on it. So you can see them better. And it's just easier for me doing this. This is how I learned when I was in school. So okay, so we have all four of our settings on there. So now we just need to check each of these. So if length of password is greater than or equal to 7, then correct length is going to be equal to true. Now the next one we need to do this through a for loop, because we have to check each one of the characters on here. So for ch in password, if ch dot is upper, then has uppercase equals true. If ch dot is lower, then has lowercase equals true. If ch dot is digit, then has digit equals true. And notice on these, we are not doing if else's on here, because if the first one happens to be true, it would skip the other ones and mess things up on us. We have to check each one individually on there. So now that we have all that, now we need to determine whether or not we have a valid password. So we're going to do if correct length and has uppercase, and do a backslash here so we can go down to the next line. Whoops, let me change that here. And I always like putting that there. Okay, on there. Okay, so then has lowercase and has digit, then is valid is going to be equal to true, else is valid is going to be equal to false. Return is valid. Okay. So that's the code that we're going to do for this. This is going to be inside our login. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. Okay, and then I'm going to open up a new file. This is going to be our test program for our password. Need to import login. Start our main. Password equals input. Enter your password. And then while not, login.valid password, passing in password, print out a message that password is not valid, and then password equals input into your password. Okay. And then when we get done with that, then we're going to print. That is a valid password, and that's the end of that. So then we're going to do our main. Right. Okay. So this is going to be called validate password. So I'm going to go ahead and get this saved. Validate password.py. Save that in there, and then we'll run this and see if I got any errors going on here. Okay, so I'm going to enter Bozo, B-O-Z-O, as my password, and it says that password is not valid. Now, like I said, why isn't it valid? Well, we know because we wrote the code for this. It's not valid for a bunch of reasons. One is it's not long enough. It doesn't have any digits in it, and it doesn't have any uppercase characters in it. But you being the user may not know those rules, and this doesn't print any of those rules out on there. So this is something that, like I said, that I would think about wanting to change to make this a better program. Okay, so Kangaroo, not valid. Tiger 9, not valid. And then we'll try Leopard 6. And that one is a valid password. Okay. So hopefully this helps you out on here. Like I said, I always suggest to my students to think about ways to improve your program. Think of it as a game. I'm guessing most of you have played games in the past, and you notice that they are always updating the games. They're always coming up with something new to put in there, because if you don't, then the users get bored, they quit playing, and then you don't get the money on there. So you always have to come up with new ideas, new ways to improve it, to make it better for whoever the user is. Okay, bye.